Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. Today, I have Karen Harvey-Conran on, who was actually one of my Light Leaders speakers at the event in October this year. Or last year, actually, when you're listening to this. I'm really excited to have her on today. Now, Karen is the owner of a permanent makeup and beauty clinic. And the reason I wanted to have Karen on the show today is it's the start of a new year. It's that time of year where people are reevaluating what it is that they're doing, where they're at, what goals they want to set for this year. And I just thought it'd be a really lovely episode to talk about how you don't ever have to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life. No matter what stage you're at in your business, in your life, you can always make a change and go down a different path. So, Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me and for having me at Light Leaders as well, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you on here today. Could you I'm going to kind of hand over to you because I think your story is just so inspirational. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that will listen to this and just think, oh my God, this is giving me that kick up the bum I needed to just do something about having this dream. So tell us about your journey, how you got started, where you were, and how you've got to where you are now.
Okay. So basically I was actually an assistant head teacher and I was approaching 50 and I thought I don't want to be doing this till I'm 67. I don't, I loved it. I loved teaching. I loved the kids and being in the classroom and everything. And I now know with hindsight that I was actually going through perimenopause, but it wasn't talked about. There was very little about it. I was just beginning to feel really like I wasn't in the right place. I was feeling vulnerable, and I'd never felt like that before in teaching. I'd always felt like really, I was always the one they said naughty kids too. But suddenly I was like, oh, I was just not feeling right. And so I was like, I need to do something new. I need to do something else. And then there's that little monkey on your shoulder that says, yeah, but you're in a good career and you're approaching 50. And do you really want to be changing? And then my husband said to me, well, what do you want, Karen? Do you want safe misery or do you want risky happiness? And that was it. So that was the saying that's just stuck with me forever. So it's like safe misery or risky happiness. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna do something. And I had my own eyeliner done a few years before, and I had been toying with it and thinking about it and researching it. And I thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And it was one Easter holidays. I was sat in the garden, and it was a really lovely, lovely day. And there's an old shed at the bottom of my garden, and I thought, I'm going to knock that down. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to say I'm leaving, and I'm going to knock that down and I'm going to build a clinic. And that's what I did, basically. So I literally went back to my head. I told him, I gave him a whole term's notice and said, because you've got to obviously replace a couple of roles for me, my teaching role and also my SLT role. And I said, but I'm leaving. And I burst into tears because it was like, oh my God, it was so monumental with what I was doing. I was like, Jesus. And all my people, friends and stuff, they were like, oh my God, you're so brave. Oh my God, like this. I was like, just got to do it. And I know that if I do it half-hearted, for me, I knew that if I stayed teaching and tried to do that part-time and do this, I wouldn't make it, it wouldn't work for me because I give my all to something. So I couldn't really do that for me. Anyway, so that was the start of it. So I took some unpaid leave and I started training. So that summer I did the rest of my training to do brows. And then that I built the clinic that summer. So that was finished by the end of August. And so then I was cash poor because I'd literally cashed in all my savings. But I was like so excited because I had this new journey to do. And I had this like, wow, I've done it. I've taken the risky happiness. And then it was about building and building and building. And don't get me wrong, it's been like a roller coaster because any time when you're owning your own business, isn't it? It's like a roller coaster because you haven't got that security anymore. Nobody pays you if you're off sick or anything like that. But I had so much more freedom, and that was the thing. And at that time as well, my mother, who has since passed away, but she was quite, she needed taken to hospital appointments. She needed, so whereas like some people have young children and they need to do this, my children were older, but my mum had gone full circle where my mum needed my help now. And so in teaching, you don't have that flexibility. So having your own career allowed me to have that flexibility. And I'm so glad I did because it allowed me to do those things with mum before she did pass away last year. She passed away. So I'm so glad that I had that, and she was such a staunch supporter of mine as well, which was so good because I really thought she would say to me, are you bloody mad, Karen? And she didn't. She said to
Oh.
me, life's too short, Karen, just do it. And so that's what I did. And so then I was like, well, I just started building. And it was like, what else can I do? So I started getting into facials as well. And they kind of like fitted in with my permanent makeup. And I now trained in full face permanent makeup. So I could do the eyeliner and the lip blush as well. So like mine's, I haven't got any lipstick on, I haven't got any eyeliner on. So it's all done. And then it was just like, I loved it. And the power and the confidence it gave to women was unbelievable. So I get so much enjoyment from what I do, because women often, they get to a certain age and they stop being seen, you know. And I've had ladies who've been to me and they've come and they've cried and they've come with a note, and at the top of it says, Karen, help me. And literally, you know, and they walk away and they're like, I feel so much more confident now, thank you, you're giving me my confidence back. And it might seem like some people think, what? But it's real thing. So if you don't have any eyebrows, if you're struggling with your eyesight and things like that, to put things, you know, your makeup on yourself, to suddenly have it there, it just transforms your confidence and your day and everything like that. So it's such a fabulous thing. And so then obviously, because I was a trainer, it was like, well, I'm, you know, I am a trained teacher. So now I have an academy. So I actually train other people in it as well, which is so powerful. And so, you know, I love it to help other people get out of, if they're not enjoying what they do. But what I also do is show them how they can actually combine both. So they don't have to do what I did and give up everything and you know, and step into a new era and a new career all at once, because that's quite daunting and it is quite difficult. So what I can do is show them all the pitfalls, and I can hold their hand, because I do a mentoring approach. So it's about helping them to become the, you know, the boss they want to be, the leader they want to be, you know, and build a lifestyle that would suit them and their family. Because I just have so much time freedom now, which is what is really nice. You know, it's not about, you know, I don't earn like, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds or anything like that. For me, it's the time freedom that's really important, and having the time where I can go and do things. Like my daughter recently, you know, went through a breakup, and so I was able to be there for her, to go to her, you know, to go and stay with her, to help her move into a new place. I was able to do all those types of things. So that is what's so lovely. And I love holidays. So I can take the time off and go and do those things without having to ask somebody to do that. So those things are so, you know, important to me, and to, you know, about inspiring other people. And the fact that I did this at 50. So basically I started at 50. I started my training just before I was 51, actually. And I've just literally, like, this is my era. And this is, and so it's a message out there for people. You've still got so many more years, you know, over decades left to work. So do something that you love, you know, and change the path of your future, if you like. And that's what I'm so passionate about, is like getting people to realize that you don't have to stay stuck. So if you don't like something, then find something that you do love, and make that transition, so that you begin to love life, and you begin to, no, I don't get up any morning and think, oh God, I've got to go to work. I never have that feeling, which is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
To actually know that you're actually doing something you really love. And now I've got this clinic, and I employ 2 other people, and it's just a lovely little team, and we love you know, like helping especially mature women feel better about themselves, because a lot of clients come into me and they'll go into some clinics, and you know, they say to me, they look too towy, you know, they look too down, and you know, they don't feel natural to me. They don't feel like I could talk to them. I feel a bit intimidated by them. So for me, it's all about making it like, this is real, you know, this is I am what you get, you know. I don't put any airs and graces on, and it's literally just come and you know, we'll talk and we'll help you. And that's the way I look at things, and that's how my clinic runs, and it's really successful, touch wood. It wasn't always really easy, because obviously I did this in 2019, and then we went into lockdown in 2020, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
Oh my gosh.
Gone from a really safe, secure career, and then suddenly I have no money and no income coming in, and I'm like, oh, what have I done? And that was obviously because I couldn't work face to face. So it was
Yeah.
like, I've only just started, I'm just getting going. And then suddenly it was like the rug's pulled out from under you. But it makes you nothing but resilient, is all I'll say. And do you know what? I found that was a challenge. But then it was like, well, what can I do about this? And the industry was actually really good in that time. So many gorgeous people in the industry who have been in the industry for a long time decided to give back. And so they put on free courses online. This is when Zoom really took off, didn't it?
Yeah.
They put on free courses, they put on, free education. And I just lapped it all up because obviously I was a newbie. So I just lapped it all up. And I also did loads of courses on social media and on just what to do. And I did challenges because there was loads of challenges out there, all things that to keep you going and to keep you motivated really and give you a bit of focus. Because when I had months and months, of not doing anything, it's hard to have the focus. So that's what I used for my focus. And it actually worked out really well because I actually came out of lockdown with like a waiting list of over 80 because I literally showed up every day. And that was the thing, just show up every day, let people see your face, and more people are online than ever before. So actually that it worked in my favor. So rather than, I know some people just like hid away a bit and just sort of, that worked for them. But for me, keeping going, keeping showing up, and it meant that I actually came out stronger than what I went into lockdown with. So actually there was that period which was difficult, but and I did have to, I got a little loan to keep me going. But do you know what? It all sort of like worked. I always manifest it's going to work out. It's fine. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to work. Whatever's supposed to happen will happen and it will all be good and it will work. And it did. And it does. And it's always like that, isn't it? It's like my husband, if I ever have those panicky bits, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not booked up enough for, like 2 months in advance. And he'll be like, Karen, it's going to be fine because it's always fine. And it's true, and it's like I don't know why I stress myself sometimes, and then you next look in the diary and you think, oh my God, it's all booked up. I was like looking yesterday, and I was thinking I've only got about a few slots left in January, and it's like it's like that, and that's because you just got to keep it positive and keep manifesting. Yeah. This is the right step for you. This is the right life, and therefore it's all going to work out. And that's very much what. And so it's inspiring other people to take that risk. Safe misery or risky happiness. And I know which one I took and which one worked for me. So, yeah.
100%. And I love that you touched on as well, because I'm the same as you, that if I have an idea for something, I'm an all-in kind of person. I can't like dip my toe in and do a bit of this, bit of that. Like I need to just put my absolute all into the thing I'm working on. But I loved how you touched on the fact that that's not for everybody, because obviously we've all got different paths, we've all got different human design, different soul alignment and everything. So actually figuring out what is right for you and then guiding people through that journey. I'd love to know from you, how long do you think you felt that niggle for when you were working and teaching? Like how long had it been going on where you're like, I love my job, but there's just something else?
I think it'd been going on for a good few years because I even moved school to see if it was just the school. So I changed schools to say, is it just the school? Am I okay? I just need to move schools. And I did that actually, I think I did. So it was a while because I did that a couple of times, stayed somewhere for 2 years. It's not feeling it, stayed somewhere else for 2 years. Right, let me try again for one last time. And then I went to the last school I was in for a year, and I was like, no, it's definitely not. I need to change. This itch that's there is still there, and I need to do something about it. And even I've got 2 grown-up girls now, and even they were like, Mum, you just need to own your own business. You need to do it. You've always dreamed about it. You always keep, you talk about it. You need to do it. And even the kids I taught at school, because I taught business and economics, so the kids I taught at school were like, Miss, when are you going to open your own business? And I was like, well, when I can decide what I want it to be.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think you speak to people all the time that say, like, I'm not very happy in the thing that I'm doing, but I just don't know what else there is for me. Like, when did you decide that you kind of knew what that business was going to be?
I think it was, so I had my eyeliner done, and I was 48 when I had that done. And that was a game changer for me. And when I was having it done, I just thought, my God, I actually think I'd really love to do that. And so then that's when I spent the next sort of like 18 months or so, just on and off researching where to train. Because I thought, well, if I'm going to give up a good career, I want to go and train with the best. So I actually went up to London to train with KB Pro, who was one of the big trainers at the time, Karen Betts. And so it was, I spent about 18 months researching. thinking about it. And then it was like, should I do it? Should I do it? And that's what comes down to that risky happiness.
Yeah.
And then I was like, do you know what? It was that Easter holidays. It was like doing it, just doing it. And I'm like, I'm just doing it. And that's why I say it was so emotional though, because I did burst into tears, like when I handed in my notice and everything. And it, you know, and it was like, what have I done? And like everybody who knows me, like, what are you doing? But you know, but I am an all-in person, like you said. So for me, that was the only way I could do it. But that itch to do something else had been there for a good few years before that. But then it was finding the right thing that I wanted to do, that I could get my teeth into, that I would actually really enjoy doing, and that I could grow. Because I always knew I wanted to do something, but then I wanted to grow. So that's why I outgrew then my home clinic, and then sort of like built a high street one instead, so that I could come out from home, especially after lockdown. I was like fed up with being at home, but it was that I could come out and grow a team and have more treatments and have my name above the door. And they're all just dreams, you know, that were there. But it was like, no, I'm making these reality, and that's what drove me really, and still drives me to, like, you know, be adding these extra sort of like strings to the bow type thing, because you can't stand still. And I don't believe in it's not in my nature to stand still. So it's always about, right, I'm going to focus on this. So the academy, taking on extra members of staff and building them up and helping them. So it's always about building.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's just the nature of business, isn't it? Because like buying habits change, what people want changes, like the demand for even what you do right now, you think in 5-10 years time might be very different. You might have services you don't even know exist right now. So
exactly,
like you say, it's constantly evolving, isn't it? If there's anyone listening to this right now that already knows that they're not feeling lit up by what it is that they're doing, if they're working, if they're employed and they just want kind of an out, if they're maybe running a business and they're feeling that disconnect from it, what would you give them as a piece of advice for taking that next step into doing something else?
I would say think about what it is that what else do you want to do? Is there something there that's niggling that you think, I actually would like to try that? And it's like you said, you don't have to jump into it completely. You can do it step by step. So sometimes I think get a mentor helps as well. So, you know, I know you mentor people as well, and there's getting mentors can really help you, just maybe having the focus that you need to know what it is that you're going to branch into and do and make yourself successful in. But I think it's having listen to yourself, listen to that inner voice, and and that helped in lockdown as well, because there was a lot of listening to inner voices, wasn't there? Lots of stuff out there that you could tap into, lots of tapping and all the rest of it. But it was there's lots of that. But I think that's the big thing, is you need to think about what's gonna motivate you, what is it that's going to light up your eyes, that's going to, you know, light up your life. And you know, it doesn't matter if you earn less money doing it. If it lights up your life, you're going to have a much better life as a result of it. You know, so that's what I would say. What is it inside you that is there something in there that says, I want to do something else? And listen to it. What is it that you enjoy, really enjoy doing? Because for some people, I mean, I've met so many people along this journey as well, and they've gone into, even people who they worked for big organizations doing things like finance and stuff like that. They've thought, right, I actually really enjoy helping smaller businesses do these things. So instead of working for a corporation, like they've stepped away and they've set themselves up doing it for themselves to help small businesses. And the same with, you know, like marketing, you know, people who worked for big organizations doing marketing, but now they're actually really loving, maybe earning less, but actually working with small businesses and helping them grow their businesses, because that's far more rewarding than just being part of a bigger team that dealing with marketing for big organizations who don't really know who you are. You're just a name, aren't you? Really, you're just a number. But instead working with small businesses, and I know so many people now from networking groups that I've been to, where you know they're living their dream because they've thought about what do they like doing, and then where do they now want to do that. So it doesn't always have to be something completely new. I mean, mine was something completely new, but it doesn't have to be. These people, I know so many who have literally just sidestepped into doing it on a smaller scale but with smaller businesses where it aligns more with them and it aligns more with the support that they can give.
Yeah.
And I think so. I think that's a big thing. It doesn't have to be this massive new thing that you do. It can be what you were already really good at and really trained in, but just do it on a smaller basis with smaller organizations that will lap it up and you can really support. So I think, you know, that's I've learned that because I've learned so much. You learn so much all the time from other people, little light bulbs all the time. But just watching other people who have done that, who've gone into, even teachers who have left teaching, but they've gone into training, or they've gone into offering sort of like a mentoring support and coaching support for, you know, for career changes and CVs and all those sorts of things. So there's lots of other things that you can do. It's I suppose it's sitting down and talking with somebody about what is it that you enjoy doing and what could you do. And there's actually, and there's free advice around as well, isn't there? You know, there's free with the banks and with all sorts where you can go and chat about different options too as to how you can do it. But yeah, think about what do you like doing? What do you really enjoy doing? And it could be what you're already doing, but just doing it differently. And I think that's a really big thing that I never even thought about that before. I mean, I changed completely, but I didn't really think about, oh, actually, there's probably some skills I actually have already that I could have just used instead. But I love what I do now. But yeah, that's a big thing I would say to people. You don't have to be doing this new massive thing. You could actually just be changing what you're doing and where you're doing it.
Yeah, just changing that perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give to yourself, the version of you that had just handed in your notice, that was in that, oh my God, I've done it, I've made the decision, it's got to work, and then obviously COVID happened and you must have just thought, like, I've made a huge mistake potentially. What piece of advice would you give yourself if you could go back and talk to yourself right now?
I probably maybe would have said, part of me would say I've done it maybe more gradually so that I didn't have that all or nothing. But I know for me that wouldn't have worked. So sometimes I say that to myself, or if I, you know, maybe just done it a little bit so that I didn't have that scary bit. But for me personally, I know that probably wouldn't have worked for me anyway, because I am an all or nothing kind of person. And it was the same when I was in teaching. I just gave so much to teaching, you know, I planned so much, I worked so many hours, so I don't think it would work for me, but I would have, if I could go back and say to myself, I would say, just have more of a plan. I didn't really have a plan. I kind of was left, and then it was like, I'm doing this bit of training, then I'm going to finish that training and finish that training. I didn't really have a strict plan. To be honest, my plan came during COVID because it had to, and I had time. I hadn't really planned. So I would say plan. You get yourself a plan. So you can have, your short term, your medium term, but have a plan. Because I didn't really do that. I kind of did it retrospectively. It's like when I was taken on premises, I had to write a business plan, and I kind of did it retrospectively. And it made me realize how much I'd done. But I think maybe if I'd had a little bit more discipline at the beginning and thought about it more, I might have done things a bit faster. I don't know. But I definitely, if I went back to tell myself to do things again, I would say just have a bit more of a plan, rather than because I'm such a all or nothing, it's like, no, I'm doing it, this is what I'm doing, and it's just going to work. It's just going to work. But yeah, have a bit more of a plan, I would say. So I think it helps. Yeah.
Love that. What is next for you?
So next is about, I want to grow the academy side of things. So my basic, I offer beginners training, I offer masterclasses, and I want to offer more mentoring as well to people who are wanting to come into the industry, and maybe into, like, not necessarily permanent makeup, but the industry in general, and just offering mentoring advice, support in the way I've had mentors, because I've had a few mentors now, and I still have a mentor, and I pay, I do pay a lot of money for my mentor, and it's worth it. And I think sometimes people think, oh, it's not worth paying out, for somebody. I'll just figure it out for myself. And I did that for a few years, and then I did get a mentor, and you realize then how much you can. I saw actually on I think it was on Instagram or Facebook yesterday, I saw this picture, and it was really clever, and it showed this a bigger mouse and a smaller mouse walking along, and all these traps were on the bigger mouse's tail, and they were holding hands with the smaller mouse, and it was basically saying, come on, I'll mentor you, I'll help you, and I'll help you avoid all those traps, because they've already had the traps, they've already been in the traps, so when you've been in business yourself for a while, there are traps that you did fall into and that you've learned from, and so you can actually make somebody else's journey so much smoother by helping them. And I believe passionately in helping. I'm all about collaboration, not about competition. Totally. There's enough work out there for everybody. I'm not precious. I'll help anybody who asks for help. I won't say, oh no, I can't help her because she's got to clean it down the road. I would help. Because that's what I believe. And I believe we grow better together when we do that. We need more. It's like when you listen to Cleo, loved Cleo, who was at Light Leaders, and she's been on your podcast already, and I've listened to her podcast, and I just love what she says in terms of it's, generational thing where we weren't, with money she's talking about, where we weren't I couldn't believe some of the stats she showed at Light Leaders, where women couldn't get a bank account or couldn't get a loan out and things like that. I was like, oh my days, so it's that self-empowerment and that female empowerment, I think, that we can give to each other. And I think it's important that we do, because there is enough in this world that knocks you as a woman, as a mother, as a working mother, as all those other things. There's always things that you can throw at women, isn't there? They should be doing this, should be doing that. Can't do that well enough if they're doing that, can they? You get all of that, but that tends to just be sour grapes, to be honest with you. I think when you've got women who've been through it and they've worked and they've been working mothers, and I've always been a working mother, then I think and I was a single parent, for a while, and so I think it's all about helping each other. That's what I believe in, and supporting and inspiring. And having two daughters myself, and they're now women in their 20s, I'm like, oh God, how did that happen? But for me, it's all about inspiring them as well. And that's the biggest compliment they ever give me, is when they tell me that I've inspired them.
I love that. I get the same thing. I get the same thing. My eldest is 10 and she says the same thing. She said, Mummy, when I'm older, I want to be just like you. Like, I'm just like, oh my God.
It just wells you up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you want in life. You want them to be inspired, that they can do anything they want to do. And they can have that confidence in themselves. That the world is their oyster, basically. And I don't think there's enough of that. There's not enough of that. There's too much negativity around. There's not enough. We need to spread the positivity and
we do. And I think this episode, it's one of those episodes, I think there's going to be the right people that just needed to hear this. They needed to have that almost permission, to give themselves permission to just take that first step. And it might be a small thing. It might be going and watching a YouTube video. It might be reaching out and sending you a message. It might be just saving this to listen back to again when they've got a bit more headspace to listen to it. Any small step that you can make in order to move forward into bringing your dreams into reality, because they absolutely can be. The dreams that you are dreaming of, the things that are on your vision board, absolutely can be your reality.
Totally. And that when I say about that plan, a vision board would have been marvelous, and that's what I should have done right at the beginning. I had it in my head, but it would have been good to have done a vision board of a plan of where I was heading. So it's for anybody, but like you say, really, you can just make little baby steps. Little baby steps is still a step forward.
100%.
They don't have to be.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Karen. Where can we find you and connect with you?
So you can find me. I have my email, so Karen at KarenHarvey-Conran.com is my email. You can, I am on Instagram and Facebook, Karen Harvey-Conran, so you can look me up, DM me. I'm on WhatsApp as well, so definitely just drop me a message if you need any advice, or if you just want to pick my brains about anything. I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do reach out to Karen and myself. Let us know what you thought of the show. Please leave a review and make sure that you go and connect with Karen. Her links are all in the show notes below. I will see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.